Bitter criticism, reading something from Al Jazeera not related to genocide. I don't love violence, but we have to face violence. We have to face it. Economy. I guess I read all this and I don't care. I don't care about the FTX executive. I'm going to read something else from. I'm going heading to. I'm gonna change all. Let's read some Pepe Escobar. Pepe Escobar in Valparaíso. Woo. Pepe Escobar. Please tell Russia Today people I will work for food. I want to work for Russia Today. Would you? I only need a ticket for 3 dogs. That's all. I only need. Well, forget about it. Anyway, I will keep asking. Keep dreaming. Look, Margarita Simoniano. And I really care about Russia. Could you see that? There's an article on the cradle from Pepe Escobar. That's what I'm going to read. The UN won't protect Gaza, but can adopt a pact for the future. Question: the United Nations has become a parody of itself. As world leaders gathered in New York this week, Gaza, Lebanon, and Palestine were nowhere on the agenda, but ramming through U.S. Pact designed to protect the, quote, rules-based order, unquote, was right at the top. By Pepe Escobar. I hope, yeah, I'm going to read this. I guess I'm going to put this title on Telegram, on YouTube. YouTube still working. The cradle. The UN won't protect Gaza, but can adopt a pact for the future. The United Nations has become a parody of itself. As world leaders gathered in New York this week, Gaza, Lebanon, and Palestine were nowhere on the agenda, but are rammed through U.S. Pact designed to protect the rules-based order was right at the top. Pepe Escobar, September 26, 2024. Photo credit the cradle. The United Nations and its Security Council's inability and unwillingness to stop live-streamed genocide has discredited it beyond any possible redemption. Any serious resolution inflicting serious consequences to Israel's deadly psychopathology is and will be blocked at the UN Security Council. Cut to a surrealistic spectacle this past Sunday and Monday in the New York right before the 79th Annual General Assembly, where heads of state convened to deliver their lofty speeches on the GA podium. EU member states adopt a pact for the future with 143 votes in favor, only 7 against, and 15 abstentions. The devil is in the details, of course. Who actually designed it and approved it? Now did it make its way to the top of the agenda while the world is burning? And why do we smell a giant rat? The UN public relations machine announced cheerfully that the key outcome of the summit of the future is a once in a generation opportunity to steer humanity on a new course towards our common future, unquote. Nice language, but to be clear, this is nothing like the Chinese inclusive philosophical concept of community of a shared future for mankind. It's more like the common future envisaged by the Atlanticist plutocracy that rules the so-called garden, which only produces diktats for the jungle. How China, Russia, and Iran voted. Russia's first deputy permanent representative to the UN, Dmitry Polyansky, summed up the initiative aptly. Quote, the United Nations infringed upon its own principles to pander to a group of delegations from a beautiful garden who have usurped the talks from the very beginning, and the majority from the jungle, like a herd, could not find courage enough to protest and defend their rights. They will bear responsibility for the consequences. A number of diplomats, speaking off the record, is quite bewildered tones, confirmed there were actually no serious prior negotiations and that the fact was adopted by consensus with a minimalistic group of only 7 nations, all from the jungle, trying to put up a resistance dismissing the prepared text and falling to add last-minute amendments. Even brand new UN General Assembly President Philemon Yang tried to do something. The resistors proposed that Yang should postpone the voting until all provisions were agreed, specifically the ones on disarmament and the interfering role of NGOs in the work of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. But the Guardian applied full pressure to ram the pact through, and the resistors came up with too little, too late. A few African diplomats complained off the record that their countries were contrary to the pact but were voting out of solidarity. That's code for being bullied or actually bribed by the Guardian. And now comes the clincher. Both Russia and Iran voted no, and China abstained. In short, the 3 key civilization states, which happen to be the key drivers of Eurasia integration and arguably the 3 most important BRICS members, rejected the Guardian manufactured pact. The key unstated reason is that this pact is ultimately against the BRICS and the rise of a second global pole. A dead giveaway in the several direct references in the pact to the rules-based international order, the hegemon's mantra. The pact was deftly engineered to isolate the top civilization states and to split BRICS from the inside. Classic divide and rule. As for the real pact for the global majority's future, it will soon start to be seriously discussed, not at the UN, but at the BRICS annual summit in Kazan next month. Yeah, there's a link to this. I was thinking about this too. Gaza who? Despite the fact that the UN building is hosting the biggest group of world leaders seem together in a year, absolutely nothing is being done about the Gaza genocide and Israel's expansion of war into Lebanon. This startling activity on the globe's most pressing humanitarian crisis has stunned even Guardian feeders in the Persian Gulf, who typically cling to U.S. diktats of most things. Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs and Negotiation, Dr. Abdel Aziz Alouaishak, even penned an editorial that points to the delusion of US President Joe Biden, quote, asserting that the international system is working and that the US in particular is holding it together, unquote. The only head of state to make this claim at the podium this year. In his column entitled Biden's Final Flaw Speech at the UN General Assembly, Alouaishad reveals, quote, a high-level gathering held in New York these days, such as the Summit of the Future. Participants agreed that the UN system is broken and in need of reform, or even overhaul, he adds, quote, quote, looked at from the point of view of a veto-wielding superpower, the system is working. It can stop any action it does not like and go along with the decisions of which it approves. What could be better? But the world looks different from the perspective of defenseless refugees in Gaza, huddled by the ruins of their homes, having lost numerous family members, and who could get killed at any minute by a far superior military force unchecked by the UN and supported by its most powerful members. Subtitle: The UN devolves into an annex of Davos. The whole UN building in New York City has now been reduced to a monolith celebrating dejection and cynicism. As it becomes crystal clear to any diplomatic corps that the Gaza genocide and now its extension to Lebanon are fully supported by the Western criminal syndicate led by Anglo-American Zionism. In this aspect, any vote at the UN should be considered irrelevant. The whole UN structure should be considered irrelevant. The Pact should be read at one's own peril. At one's own peril is a cliché word salad mixing unrestrained virtual signaling with rehash of old policies from dead deals, such as the Obama-era TPP trade agreement, plus a global digitization drive originally redacted by intestines by the governments of Germany and Namibia. Yet the real redactors were the usual suspects: big tech and big finance, enforcers of the rules-based international order. This future envisaged for mankind, unlike the Chinese communitarian spirit, is an apotheosis of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, coming straight from the Davos gang, personified by the World Economic Forum, WEF. These are the actors who supervised the previous non-existing negotiations, harking back to the fateful cooperation agreement between the UN and the World Economic Forum, WEF, signed in July 2019, a few months before the COVID era. This agreement, as analyst Peter Koenig has remarked, is illegal, as the quote, the UN may not enter into agreements with NGOs, but de facto irrelevant in a rules-based order world. In real life, it configures the UN as merely an annex to Davos. So welcome to your dystopian future, which is now even set on paper. No paper, sorry, that's so old-fashioned, in digital script. Is there a way out? Yes. The global resistance incrementally is being sculpted into a cohesive transcontinental force, much of its reach and depth due to an increasingly more assertive China. The BRICS are dead set on developing powerful interconnected nodes capable of steering the global majority towards an equitable, livable, non-dystopian future. all eyes on Kazan in October. In October, yeah. Maybe we'll see the Chilean Congress now. But next news next.